go forward to the questions. If anybody has a question, please raise your hand and we'll come to you with the mic. Glad to see that a man has done this and is man enough to admit it.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. I've been here for the third, this is the third event, and you have been a great host. Just a round of applause for him, guys, please. Yeah. मैं थक ही नहीं रहे, थर्ड तीसरा लगातार कर रहे हैं, but okay. So I've seen the film. I had fun. Definitely there were some points that I didn't agree, but that's okay. But I wanted to talk about the male characters that your films have always portrayed. In Alisha, we have that Khoobsurat. All the male characters are some characters that I got influenced by.
Okay.
And definitely in recent years, like today, this year only, we have Rocky Randhawa. We have great male characters. Like in OMG2, Pankaj sir's character. Like great male characters. So just wanted to ask all of you, some great films or some films that inspired you to be in this industry. Because this is my first month in Bombay. I'm a Delhi boy. So it's different. There are a lot of films here. So what inspired you all? A film or a character that inspired you to do such? And you can also answer, please.
I feel like I was very inspired by Hum Hai Rahi Pyar Ke. I used to watch that film. I love Juhi Chawla's character in that movie. I used to watch that film every time I was unwell. And I liked it because, again, there was a strong female character in the film. And I didn't realize that's why I liked it until I thought about it when I was older. But I would watch that film every time I was sad because it had nothing to do with a girl and a boy and a nothing. It was just a joyous story. It was a fun story. It was a rebellious story. And it was a wholesome story. So I love that film. And I feel like I have always loved, Audrey Hepburn movies. I've always loved Breakfast Club films. I've always loved a film where there's a rebellious streak in the girl. And I feel like that is only because, when I was a kid, I was a very sick kid. I used to be unwell a lot of the time. I never was allowed to play sports. I was never allowed to do any of this stuff. And I only started getting better by the time I was 12, 13, 14. And I was very, 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 very shy. And I was very quiet. I used to read books. I used to play with my dolls. I used to be by myself. And I used to watch a lot of movies. And I feel like they became like my therapy. So I've always been inspired to make films. Like I said, I never got into that, I'll make films for the reviews or I'll do box office, smash it. No, they made me feel better. So I make movies that make other people feel better. I want people to escape.
So a film that really, really inspired me, and honestly, it's one of my most favorite films ever, is Rang De Basanti. I watched that film and I was like, oh my God, I want to live the life that they live. And I think that's why my choice is also such. Because your question, I never thought about it. I think my choice is also that always have a message, some kuch karungi, badlav laungi. I think it comes from there as well. But I also loved hardcore romances. I loved Dil To Pagal. I was obsessed with Karishma Kapoor.
I was going to answer the same.
I just wanted to be her and dance like her and best. And I remember from Raja Hindustani, there was this short red dress that had become a rage that Karishma Kapoor had worn, okay? And I was maybe 3 or 4 when the film had released. And I'd fought with my mother that I wanted, and they were she's gone completely crazy. Because which normal kid is mujhe Karishma Kapoor ki dress chahiye when they are 4. But another film that I completely loved was Julia and Julia, because I'm such a big Meryl Streep fan. I think she's just so phenomenal. But I'm also very, very desi. Omkara. I loved. I wanted to play Langda Tyagi. I wish I swear. I think that's the only thing left. But my choices have been very, very diverse.
Yeah, I just like comedies here. If they make you laugh, it's important. Especially if you're saying something explosive, something serious you want to say. You make people laugh, and if Andaz Apna did it, but they didn't really say anything serious. But I felt it was really funny, and so yeah, those.
I'm sorry, but I'm obsessed. I was obsessed with Karisma Kapoor till Kareena Kapoor came and she went. Karisma Kapoor's Nisha from Dil To Pagal Hai, like she said, but only if I realized at that age that I've manifested the same thing in my life, and then I wouldn't be liking what is happening with me. So I became a real life Nisha. So I only have heart for all the people who lose love. I don't know, कभी प्यार जिसको ना मिले मुझे, मतलब मेरा दिल उसके पास चला जाता है कि यार प्यार में नहीं मिला, तो ये मेरी प्यारी बिंदु. Yeah, it is. But you know, I want to ask you specifically a question. You know, when you speak and play characters like this, when you speak about your entire career, you have often taken up characters that are socially very marginalized for different reasons. It just doesn't have to be like their social standing, but socially marginalized characters. But this year, when we saw the award season, there was an Alia Bhatt winning for a Gangubai Kathiawari, marginalized character. Rajkumar Rao winning for Badhai Do, marginalized character. Bhumi Pednekar winning for Badhai Do, marginalized character. And for Vad, you know, Sanjay Sir winning for Vad, again a marginalized character. Today, do you feel that the industry on a grander level have started accepting those characters? Because एक time ऐसा था जहाँ पे actors को कहा जाता था कि ऐसे करो ही मत.
Absolutely. I feel more than the industry, it's the force of the audience. You know, because we all are compromised on so many levels. There are very, very few that are not. And these are their stories.
True.
Right. So I have been very, very fortunate that I've been able to represent those people. Okay. And that's why I feel those films get the kind of love they do. In fact, even for a Sant Ki Aankh, or even a Dam Laga Ke Haisha, the previous 2 times that I won a Filmfare, apart from Badhai Do, was because those films were loved. And you know, it's insane because even when I've spoken to Rhea and Karan about this, when Sant Ki Aankh released, you know, again, a film that was like led by 2 women, and there was so much conversation, and kaun jaake do old characters ki kahani dekhega, ye dekhega, wo dekhega, but the film constantly got love. You know, it kept playing for weeks. So there was actually a point in December when Pati Patni and Wo had released that in Gaiety Galaxy, this was so wild, I could have never imagined. Gaiety Galaxy, matlab jahan pe masses jaate hain, where a Sant Ki Aankh, which was the first film of mine that had released that year, Bala and Pati Patni all had shows. And I could have never imagined because people had written Sant Ki Aankh off. Ki nahi jayega, but look at the audience, right? They kept going for it slowly and steadily, and that led to my first Filmfare Best Actor Award. Or a Badhai Do. I went through a similar journey with Badhai Do as well. It was the first film post-pandemic that came out. You know, obviously people get extremely uncomfortable speaking about the LGBTQIA plus community. They are like, nahi dekhega, same-sex love, kaun jaake dekhega, not interested. The film got so much love, I won my second Filmfare for Best Actor. And I'm telling you, I can see the same thing happening with Thank You for Coming.
Absolutely.
There is this love and it's growing constantly because I can see people going in and coming out and they're like, oh my God, this film. Something changes, something shakes within them. I've had so many filmmakers that I have worked with in the past, and I've worked with some really credible ones. And I've not gotten so many calls from within the fraternity. I've done 18 films. This is my 18th film. I've not gotten so many calls. On Thank You for Coming, I have constantly been getting calls every day where people are so surprised. See, because even they have a bias, right? Even they have a set notion ki kya hoga. Chick flick hai, frivolous hogi. But once they go watch the film, they're like, dude, what have you guys made? And this gives me like the confidence. I can't know. Every film's fate is different. And this one is going to be there for posterity.
Absolutely. Okay, we have a question there. Can we give the mic there? But kudos to whatever you are doing, because I feel I have the privilege to be brought up by a really, really amazing woman, which is my mother. And she's always taught me to be accepting. And when she had watched Badhai Do, it made my job a lot easier.
Hi, this is Vibhuti here. Firstly, thank you for making films where you give the women, the emotions of a woman a voice. So I think it's beautiful to watch all your films, and all your films have, have had some emotion, which is a suppressed emotion, which has come out in some way. So I think the jad of this rebelliousness in women has got to do a lot with the way, we are brought up. And the bringing up is not only by our parents, our fathers, who are patriarchal, but it's also our mothers. So the mothers also are somewhere trying to, train a woman in that manner. Ye nahi karo, wo nahi karo, ye nahi pehno, ya ye karo, wo karo. So I feel that while we are, showing this emotion of a woman, where she's, emoting what she needs to emote as a youngster, we need to somewhere change that mother. Because that mother has to train her sons in a certain way and the girls in a certain way. And the equality has to start from there. So if we can bring that out also in our movies, probably it would change our futures for us, It's just a suggestion for our producers and directors. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your comment. So in the film, the chemistry that I have with my mother, played by a beautiful actor called Natasha Rastogi, she's so and also the way that part is written, right? She is a single parent. She has me, Kanika Kapoor, out of wedlock. And she stands up for all the remarks that the society constantly throws at her. She lives her life. And that character is so inspirational to me because she is, the beauty about the film is that all these women, it goes from the age of 16 to the age of 32. We all, and it's portrayed by like various different characters from different walks of life that have had their own journey and that have fought patriarchy, sexism in their own way. So this specific remark of yours is very, very well portrayed in the film. So if you watch it, I think you'll genuinely see that representation or the thought that you feel our films don't show enough in it.
So if I wasn't here, I would have probably been there. So very
Vibhuti, I'll just say one thing, that you spoke about equality so beautifully, but when you put equality, you cannot put the entire blame on the mother. The father is equally responsible.
Of course.
And
I said
I know you didn't mean it that way, but I'm also saying that brings me wonderfully to this conversation that you used a song. And when I watched the movie, after whoever knows what the movie is about, everything, we've had a conversation. Pari Hu Main has a different conversation today. Not because only of Sushant, but because that line, Chuna na mujhse dur hi rehna, Pari Hu Main. We have always conditioned women to protect themselves so that they don't commit a mistake. It's always a mistake from the woman's end, and we have conditioned them to believe that if you do it, because you will be the nurturer, so you are the one who's going to make that mistake. And thank you for wonderfully portraying that and using that. And thank you for doing what you guys do, because like I said, that this conversation is personal on a lot of levels. So maybe you guys saw a little bit of angst in me, but that's okay. And I feel that I would always feel for a film like this. There are days when I've felt the worst, after something bad has happened to me and I've gone to a Khubsurat to watch it, and I've told you specifically so many times, and an Aisha, I am the Aisha for my friends matching.
Aisha, it is one of my most favorite.
But I'm the anti-Aisha, I'm matching people with wrong people, exactly like Aisha was doing. So my friends don't trust me, but thank you, Rhea, for giving women. Oh, आपका question है, चलिए आपका question लेंगे, for sure.
Thank you, Rhea ma'am, कि आप ऐसा टॉपिक समाज को दिखा पा रही हैं जिसकी वजह से गर्ल्स को बोलने का मौका मिल रहा है. तो मेरा क्वेश्चन रिया मैम से और भूमि मैम से है कि अगर बॉयज़ के पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से देखा जाए, सबका अलग अलग होता है, तो बॉयज़ का क्या है कि शुरू से ही उनको वो पैम्पर नहीं मिलता है, क्योंकि जब हम लोग ग्रो अप होते हैं तो हम लोग अपने माँ के साथ रहते हैं, अगर बहन है तो बहन के साथ रहते हैं, लेकिन कुछ सर्टेन एज होता है जब 13-14 जाते हैं तो हम लोग माँ से भी दूर कर दिया जाता है. तो माँ से भी हम लोग को वैसा क्वेश्चन नहीं पूछ पाते हैं जो कि हम लोग को ज़रूरी है जानना, और ना ही हम लोग को स्कूल बताता है. तो ये, और उसके बाद जब हम लोग और बड़े होते हैं, अपने 80s मतलब 18-90s में जाते हैं, तो फिर ये हम अपने किसी गर्ल फ्रेंड से भी नहीं पूछ सकते हैं कि ये बताओ तुम्हारे बारे में, और या वगैरह वगैरह. तो इस पॉइंट पे आपका क्या कहना है कि ये ऐसी जगह पे बॉयज़ को क्या करना चाहिए कि उनको उतना अच्छा पैम्पर नहीं मिल पाता शुरू से ही? और हम लोग को क्या है, क्योंकि हम लोग कभी कंप्लीट नहीं है, किसी गर्ल के साथ ही या फिर अपने पार्टनर के साथ ही हम लोग कंप्लीट हो पाते हैं. तो इसके लिए क्या करना चाहिए?
Fab, man, fab.
Thank you for your question. See, I feel, मेरा मानना है कि ये फिल्म बना के मैं ये नहीं कहना चाहती हूँ कि बॉयज़ भी कंफ्यूज नहीं है. मुझे पता है कि बॉयज़ भी इक्वली कंफ्यूज है. Look, the thing is, shame goes both ways. Okay? Just because girls feel ashamed doesn't mean that boys don't feel ashamed. But what this film is trying to say is that, like Nayan said, is that a lot of the responsibility of the shame happens to come on the girl, and the girl is judged more. Lekin I agree with you कि after a certain point of time, boys also don't have anybody to turn to have a conversation, to talk, you know, to speak. And I hope that after watching this film, you realize that, like you said, when you're 18, 19, you can't even talk to a girl about it. I hope that after watching this film, or as we grow, we realize that we can talk to each other, because we are both going through it. If you ask me, I will answer as long as you ask me with respect. And if I ask you something, as long as I ask with respect, you will also answer. We are all adults, you know, and we are going through the same thing. So I feel there is a lot of pressure on boys as well, just like there is a lot of pressure on girls. Like I see some boys who have been brought up to take over their father's business and get married at a certain age and provide for everybody, and the plan is you have to be the man of the house, you have to be successful, you know, you have to provide, you have to do this. And maybe he wants to be an artist, maybe he wants to travel, maybe he doesn't want to be with a woman, maybe he wants to be with a man. There's so many things that boys go through as well. And all of this stems from this conditioning that is passed on to boys and girls, you know. Girls are taught that aap aise hi raho, or guys are taught that aap aise hi raho. And I feel that the more conversations that we have, the better it is. For example, like you were saying, if there's a problem in a house, or if there's a problem in a marriage, most of the time the woman is blamed for it. Okay? Why? Because she has to keep the peace. Like till date, my mom will say, you know, दादी को happy birthday बोला, राखी डिनर है, आप जा रहे हो ना, keep yourself free, do this, do that, family dinner है, ये वो. She's keeping the family together. You see what I mean? This responsibility has never come on the man. The man has to just provide and keep everything going. But what if the man wants that responsibility? And what if the woman wants the other responsibility? The only way we can find this out is if we constantly talk to each other with respect. And that we understand that what I'm going through, she must be also going through. He must be also going through. We can't only be kind to ourselves and judge everybody else. You see what I mean? So I feel for boys, it's or reverse. I feel for boys as much as girls, it's very important to not care so much about what other people think, to know in your heart that you are a good person, that you are respectful of this girl or respectful of this boy, and your question comes from a genuine place. And if you don't feel comfortable asking your mom, ask your brother, ask your sister, ask your friends, ask your girlfriends. And if tomorrow you offend someone, if your heart is clean, it's their loss at the end of the day. Because they, as people who love you in your life, should know, you know, that this person is coming from a good place. They're coming because they genuinely want to know. They're genuinely confused. So there is no shame in ever asking anybody a question, as long as you are respectful and your values are intact and your heart is good.
Great question, and that brings us to the end of the conversation.